All right, good morning, everybody. I hope that you
Good
all are
morning.
well. Good morning. I'm so glad to see you all's faces early in the morning. Thank you for waking up early and being on here today. This is the Wednesday AM Mindful Writing Circle. My name is Halona Black. I'm a meditation teacher, a writer, and a world traveler. And what we like to do in this group is we are a group of writers who are looking to build a creative wellness habit. Our goal is to live a life worth writing about. And the circle exists to help us enhance our writing practice through self-awareness. We want to nurture our creativity through the development of healthy habits. And we also want to create life experiences that are meaningful to us as individuals. Um, Today is May 1st. Good morning, Kathy. Nice to see you. Today is May 1st, so it's the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I wanted to talk today about self-care habits and thinking about whether or not we are at the top of our priority list. I hope that some of the suggestions that I offer today are a little bit, I guess, out of the ordinary, but maybe not so much out of the ordinary. Like there's always take a bath and, go for a walk. And, we all know those things and we know to do those things. Whether or not we do them, may depend on whatever's going on in our lives. But I think there are other self-care habits that we can do that sort of move the needle a little bit further as far as our self-care is concerned. So the topic today is, are you at the top of your priority list? And so I just wanted to ask very quickly, have you ever noticed how often you're at the bottom of your priority list? And especially as women. We always sort of throw ourselves um, at the bottom of our priority list. And it really doesn't matter whether you have, a high-powered job, or if you are a person who has, more of I guess, a lower level job, I guess, if you want to call it that. It really doesn't matter where you are as far as the income that you earn, um, the different countries that I travel to, women are always sort of throwing themselves at the bottom of the priority. It really doesn't matter. We just sort of, as women, we just sort of really struggle to prioritize ourselves. And I think that is sort of rooted in three different things that I have seen and have read about. Number one is our need to be able to please others. We're sort of trained to be able to please others. We want to be able to seek our validation through the support of others. What happens often, though, is that when when you don't feel appreciated, or if they don't say thank you, or if they don't do a big thing in celebration or in appreciation of you, we often blame the others for being so dissatisfied with our lives. And not that other people shouldn't show some sort of appreciation towards you, but we can't really depend. If we're looking on other people to depend on our ability to be able to feel appreciated, we wouldn't be here. We'll be waiting a really long time. We need something else, something that's more internally driven in order to be able to feel good about who we are and what it is that we're doing in the world. Another way that women struggle to be able to prioritize ourselves is our training. Just our general training as women. We're trained to be caretakers. And so women don't learn to take care of themselves unless there's some sort of an emergency. And I know I've seen this in a lot of the women in my own family. They don't learn to take care of themselves until there's some sort of really awful health scare, real health emergency like cancer, a heart attack, somebody passed out. It is um, aneurysms, just really off the wall things that really didn't need to happen, stuff that sort of developed over a number of decades. Um, they do not learn to take care of themselves until something absolutely detrimental happens, which isn't necessary. We really need to be able to learn as children, I would argue, that we need to be able to learn how to be able to take care of ourselves first. And from there, everything else should sort of flow from there. And then the third one, I think, is a bit less talked about, but I think it's a real lack of enthusiasm for our own life. I found that it's really sort of hard to be consistent for a life that you don't feel like participating in. And once you start to learn how to take care of yourself, and you start to realize that there are certain areas of your life that you don't really like. Good morning, Tish. Good to see you. Once you start to take care of yourself, it'll start to become really apparent really quick where in the areas of your life that you're really sort of dissatisfied with. And rather than going into doing the work to do the changes, you just decide that it's too hard. You don't know where to begin because you don't know how this happened. You might not have the support that's in your immediate family to be able to follow through with it. And it's just really difficult to be able to continue with self-care habits for a life that you don't want to show up for, to be honest. So what you wind up doing is you just slip back into your old habits just because that's more comfortable. It's what you know. So for an example of that would be like a lot of us like to be able to cope with a job where we get abused every day. I've had jobs where, the supervisor would come in and, they would yell and scream just because, it was Tuesday. No real reason. You didn't really do anything to deserve it. They were just stressed, and so they take their stress out on you. And so when you start to do, you start to want to take care of yourself, and you might ask for certain things that might help you to be able to cope with a job. You have to go through the person that's abusing you on a regular basis. And they're not really there to be able to support you in your work. And that's really important to be able to realize. And so rather than go through the process of trying to find a new job, we just say, oh, I just have to learn how to be able to cope with this, because we have a mindset thinking that there's no other jobs out there. I've been doing this job for 3, 5, 20 years. And there's nothing else out there for me to do. It's, I don't have time to go out and learn another skill. This is what I do. So we just sit with these jobs that we don't want to be in. Mostly because we've probably seen everybody else do it. Everybody else had to cope with a job. We all got to work. I remember when I did the Peace Corps when I was younger. I was in my early 20s. And I came back home. I moved to Washington, D.C. And I just wound up getting like a temp job while I tried to figure out my life. And I was just really floored by just the number of people who were just dissatisfied with their job. And they were just there literally for like 30 years. And they would ask me about what I wanted to do and whether or not I wanted to be in that particular company. And that particular company was just, I'll just say it was an unhealthy place to be. And I said, no, I was looking for something that was a little bit more in my interest. And they were like, interest? Like, what is that? Like, what do you need interest for? Like, what do you, of course, these are mostly older Black women at the time. And so, I can understand from their training and their viewpoint that, as long as you were getting paid, who really cares about enjoying life and enjoying the job? And you just deal with it, and then you have other things. You can live for the weekend, which wasn't what I was really interested in doing. And so I'm really all about looking at self-care as a way to be able to help us move the needle in our lives so that we can actually change these habits. And over time, be able to move into something that's a little bit more enjoyable. So I have a few suggestions. These are not all the suggestions in the world. There are many. These are just 3 that have really helped me. Number 1 is to do a digital detox. To do a digital detox. I really think that a lot of us are spending way too much time on social media. I would even include looking at television, and in that digital detox, a lot of us, I used to come home from work and sit in front of the television, get off of work at 5:30, come home just really depressed and tired and exhausted and tired of thinking. And I would sit and just sort of rewatch the same sitcoms over and over and over and over and over again, to a point where I would just watch like the reruns that I was watching, I've seen, 3, 4, 5 times. And I could remember the script of the rerun. It was really sad. And so I got so sick of it. I got so tired of life that I decided to just get up. I got rid of the television. And my husband at the time was not pleased. But as you can see, I'm single now, so who cares? That move probably actually helped to move the needle forward in my life, and realizing that I didn't need to be married. But yeah, doing a digital detox. I did some research and I saw that most Americans are spending almost 3 hours a day watching television, and then another 2.5 hours on social media in a different study. That's a lot of time just spent doing things that have nothing to do with, your personal development, your spiritual development, just sort of figuring out what it is that you want to do and where you'd like to be. And then when you ask people whether or not you like your life and whether or not you have time to be able to change your life, they're like, well, I'm busy, I don't have time. But they can let you know about every TV show, every reality show, who said one on Facebook, what's going on with the latest celebrity gossip. They know all those things, but they don't know anything about themselves. Can't answer any questions about themselves, who they are, what they want, what they like, none of those things. Because you're spending too much time, quite truthfully, in other people's business. Other people are making money off of your inability to focus. Your inability to focus on yourself. So doing a digital detox, I really think is important. And some of the ways that I've done it is there's an app called Freedom, which you can put on your phone, your computer, your iPad, or whatever it is that you're using. And you use it to be able to lock certain apps on your technologies, just for a time, so that you can focus on other things. It'll cut off the notifications and things like that. I think there are many apps that sort of, lock social media when you want to be able to keep from accessing it. Freedom is just the one that I know. So you can just probably do a Google search on which ones are the best. But I like that one. And also I like to be able to spend at least one day a week without any sort of internet activity. So usually it'll be a Sunday where I make sure that I spend a certain number of hours outside in the sun. I live in Playa del Carmen now, so it's easy for me to be able to go and access the beach, which is pretty cool. I like to be able to read a book without that's not attached to technology. I tend to use a Kindle a lot. But on Sundays, I like to be able to actually use a handheld book sometimes, which is something that I think that we forget. We get so used to using technology. I don't check email, none of that stuff. So just spend one day without any sort of internet activities. The next one is to be able to find a community of like-minded people. It's been so important for me as a traveler to be able to connect to people who get what it is that I wanted in my life. And before I actually started traveling almost 6 years ago, this was just a dream in my head, and it was really fun to be able to connect with other people online. And I know I just said do a digital detox, but sometimes sometimes being online can actually be useful in helping you to be able to find a community, especially if you can't find it where you are in real life, which was the case. Which was the case for me. I was really the only person that I could find that really sort of thought about life in the way that I thought about it. I wanted to do more than just work, and I love culture and travel and trying new things. And a lot of the people that I was around was really focused on, keeping things the same. They were deathly afraid of change. They wanted everything to be the same all the time. And if there was anything sort of change that was coming up, it really it rattled them to the core. And that was always weird to me. And so being able to watch other people travel and be able to ask them questions or to be able to look at their pictures is actually a really positive way to be able to use social media to be able to change your life. And I remember one of the things that I first said when I moved to Thailand. Thailand was the first place that I had actually moved to. I had gone to it was one of our Sunday dinners that we used to do. Cheryl remembers the dinners that we used to do in Thailand. And I looked at this whole table. It was like 20, maybe even 30 of us at one time, 30 Black people who had, just traveled all in one place at one time. And I remember looking at the table, and I said out loud, I said, "Oh my God, Black people do travel." And I felt so at home. I was like, wow, like this is a thing. Like this is a real thing. This is not something that somebody made up. I had moved from where I was in Florida, moved to the opposite side of the world to a country that, quite frankly, I knew nothing about. I didn't know the language. I knew nothing. I didn't know the cultures, language, nothing. I didn't know anybody there, and to be able to see some sort of something that I could connect to was just reaffirming for my own humanity, and the things that I wanted felt valid probably for the first time in life. So that's really fun to be able to find. So find yourself a community of like-minded people, online and offline, if you can. And then the number 3 thing is which I always talk about, is to find a creative space for personal expression. I was watching a video just yesterday of a young lady. I think she said she was from the Netherlands. And she was talking about all the different ways in her culture that people take on hobbies. And she had mentioned some sort of a research article that said that the Dutch actually have a good 10, 12, 14 different hobbies that they keep at one time. And I'm like, wow, 10, 12 hobbies at one time, and as an American, I couldn't really, we can't relate to that, because it's just not something that's um encouraged in American culture. We're born and raised to be workers. And especially if you're a Black person, having a personal life is like, what is that? You're here to work, you're here to produce that, and that's it. Um, and so, in the travels that I've gone to, I've learned that it's not just, particular to the Dutch, but, in many other cultures, there's space for rest, um, for personal expression, for learning who you are, spiritually, um, through learning how to be able to do things that are creative. Whether you learn how to sew, there's a community of sewers in your village. Um, you can learn, how to, do, where was I in Oaxaca, and I forget the name of it. And there was a whole little town where they did the little animals that were painted with all the bright colors. Um, and they were just really beautiful pieces of art. And everybody in the town made their living through painting these little tiny little animals that were brightly colored, and they're just really beautiful. So creative self-expression in many cultures around the world is really, it's a normal thing. It's not looked upon as just fun and games only, although it can be, fun and games, but being able to rest and to be able to express yourself um, beyond just your regular work is really important. So we need to be able to have space for creative and personal um, expression. So I don't know if anyone had anything that they wanted to share, anything that popped up for them that was interesting. Yes, Kathy.
Well, today's topic is right on time for me. Um, I've been I've missed you all for 2 weeks as I'm getting rid of junk and trying to move on and start my travel adventures.
Mhm.
But you mentioned um, being pulled away from basically acknowledging or celebrating or being enthusiastic about ourselves. And I actually experienced that, putting myself lower on the priority list. This past week, I'm um, I'm giving up my. I have two clients that I work for, doing independent consulting research, legal research for, and I let them know that I would be leaving. I
Mhm.
wasn't taking my work with me. And they tried to do everything they could to persuade me to keep them on, and they would try to figure out how I could work abroad for them.
Mhm.
And I thought about it for a second. I said, "Oh, I could make." But they were what they wanted me to do is work from 7 to 12 p.m. at night.
Oh no.
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I thought I would be working European hours or
Mhm.
something. Oh no, they needed coverage. And then they said they would find an organization to hire me and take care of all of the things that, the taxation and all of that. Well, I don't want to be hired by anyone else. And
Yeah.
that when they said that word, I was like, oh no, hire me? No one can hire me anymore, you know? And so I put myself back on, on that priority list, high above thinking about myself and what I wanted to do. And the other thing was, I have a niece that I helped raise on and off. And she's an adult now.
Mhm.
And she stopped talking to me because I was being too maternal with her, and she was grown now. But she decided she needed me. And so I stopped everything for myself and swooped in and started, you know, putting her at the forefront. And I had to stop myself because I felt this pain like, oh, wow, I can't do this anymore. I have two grown children who are doing okay for themselves. They're adults and taking care of themselves. And they, um, I don't have to do this. She
Mhm.
has other people who could help her. Why me? It's because I give in. So I had to take myself and consider out of that and consider myself again. So I know how to, you know, get back on that list when I need to.
Mhm.
And finally, the what I'm looking forward to is all of these creative things that I've put away for so long and haven't done for myself. Um, and I have a whole list of hobbies and things that I want to explore, and that's going to help me as I move into this new phase. But it's also going to help me mentally,
Mhm.
um, and to create. And we've
Yeah.
talked about my writing and all of that, but I haven't quite got that started yet, but it will start as soon as I can break free of being here.
Mhm.
So this was all a very it resonated with me today. And
Yeah.
thanks for the tips.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it resonated with you because certainly when you start to put yourself back on your priority list, people will find ways to be able to keep them comfortable,
Yes.
not necessarily you. So
Yeah.
it's important to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet and remember what it is that you want,
Hmm.
the life that you wanted to be created for yourself. Because they really don't care. Other
They
people do.
don't.
They don't care. It could be the best thing for your personal health. They don't
That's
know
right.
what's going on
That's right.
with you. Instead of just saying wishing you well, thank you for the work that you put in. They want to find a way to continue
That's right.
to drain your energy.
That's right. That's right. Oh, we can help you out. That's how they you know pose it. They we'll help you. We'll help you out. It's
Mhm.
really me helping them out
Yeah.
and not helping myself out.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was packing up to leave to go to Thailand, I had family members who were like, well, why would you want to leave? And you should stay here. And it was very clear that my health was not good. I explained to people my health is not really in a good place. I really want time to be able to focus on myself. And I had a lot of weight I needed to be able to lose, and all these other things that I kept talking about. I basically was saying I need to be able to save my own life by doing this. And people were still like, but you could stay, you could stay here. You can stay, you can have a place to stay. And then, and people, I don't think that people do it maliciously or purposely. People are sort of trained to be able to take care of their own wants and needs first. And I guess when they find somebody that they know is giving, they know whose energy to be able to drain because you'll always say yes. to be able to help them, but there's no real concern about what it is that the other person is getting out of it. So yeah, that's one of the things that I really learned. I was like, nobody was really concerned. I could have really dropped dead of a heart attack at any day, at any moment at that particular time in life, and nobody cared. Nobody cared so long as I was there to, cook meals. So long as I made myself available, nobody cared. So yeah, did anybody else have anything that they wanted to share?
I think one of the things you mentioned about building community,
Hmm.
I don't know how we met. I still don't remember. But I think it's
Somewhere online.
I know
We
it
met
was, but I'm
online
like, I
before we
can't
met in
remember
person.
like where the group was or what the
Oh,
group
I
was
don't
or any of that.
know.
But I think about like when I talk to people, well, number one, when I consider like all of the things, all the places that I've lived, right? From Idaho to Pennsylvania to Maryland, Kansas City, and Mexico, and met you in Thailand, like all the places that I've been, there's always a Facebook group.
Hmm.
And not just like the physical locations, like the careers I've had, right? So the accounting and the diversity and inclusion and the HR folks. And when I talk to people, it's so interesting to me how many folks like don't consider that there's thousands of people just like you. When I was leaving student affairs, I found there was an expatriates of student affairs Facebook group, right? Like literally, whatever it is, if you want to leave your career, you want to get into a new one, like there's a community available
Hmm.
uh, of other folks who are doing it, have done it, on the way to doing it. And I think about, at the same time, how people often who aren't a part of those communities say, you're so courageous. And I'm like, it looks courageous, but I don't go nowhere where I don't know nobody. And I met the people in these Facebook groups,
Hmm.
right, over the past however many
Absolutely.
years. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that because I think that's a often overlooked. And it's of course that's the byproduct of capitalism and patriarchy and Western society, right? This belief that you should be by yourself, you should isolate. There's nobody else doing what you want to be doing. There's nobody else that like, right? Like I get it. And it's like so interesting how it's almost like you have to do the exact opposite of whatever you were told
Hmm.
or the exact opposite of whatever you believe
Yeah.
or you think in order to do whatever, like to have whatever it is that you want to have.
Hmm.
It's literally the exact opposite. So yeah, I just find that very interesting.
Yeah, to do the exact opposite, or just to do anything.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of distrust. Like if when we see real people who are doing the thing that we want to do, online, there's a tendency for us to distrust that, but we'll buy into the fantasy of celebrity gossip and all sorts of like it's easier for us to be able to get involved in that than it is to be able to connect to real people who are actually doing the thing that we said that we want to do.
Well, I guess that's why you have to find new people, right? Because typically, whatever, like the celebrity gossip, that's what you and your friends talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you want to, grow or you want to live in a different place or you want to change jobs, you need new friends. Not that
Mm-hmm.
you got to get rid of those people
Yeah,
completely, 100%, but you got to be around people who are doing the thing that we want to do.
yeah. And I'm a fan of getting rid of people.
Listen, I am too, but
100%.
most people are not trying to get rid of their folks, right? Like most people they want that sense of community. They want what's familiar. And so
Hmm.
I'm like, well, you know,
Hmm.
I was reading an article about, I think it was white supremacy. I don't know, but this thinking around all like you can only have one or the other. Like there's no way to have both.
Hmm.
Like that's a part of a tenet of that culture. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
keep your friends and find some new ones. Add
Yeah,
to your
you can find a new circle of people, and you'll
You
find over
know?
time that you're outgrowing those old people, and the old people will probably fall off anyway.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely gonna fall off. But in the meantime, yeah. Well, thank you.
I think part of the disconnect or part of why some people don't is kind of what you said with the trust and the fear, but the people who like us who are doing it and who are living it, we're not as loud and vocal as like passport bros. Um, so because we live our lives more silently and we don't live our lives, our travel lives or these expatriate lives, we don't live them so in front of everyone that we're not the version of expat living or online or traveling that people often see. So
Mhm.
people don't often know that you could look like us, feel like us, have our thoughts, and do these things. And I think part of that also, a couple of things. The algorithms when you go online, if you have a Black influencer and you have a other influencer, the other influencer is naturally going, the algorithm is naturally going to put this person up there. Or if the person is in a bunch of like mess and drama, where if you have something, it's not. And like I've made it my mission, one of my new missions, to start really talking about people and kind of addressing some of those fears that they have and pulling myself back and be like, well, all right, Cheryl, where do these fears come from and why would someone think about that? And what experiences have I personally had that can kind of dispel those fears that this person had? Because they know me and they trust me, which means that, like you were saying, Halana, and I think for us as Black women, I think not it should be like our whole mission, but we should be talking about this more often and how freeing it is and be willing to open ourselves up to be transparent about how transformative this lifestyle is and how healing it is. And that there is community and not just go about living our lives. We should be, I don't know, that's just how I'm starting
Mhm.
to feel.
Absolutely. And really, honestly, this is part of why I do this circle. I want us to be able to realize that we have so many stories to be able to share that's more than just trauma and death and dying and stress. That a lot of us have had lives where we have chosen other ways to be able to do life. And I really wish that I had these stories when I was younger,
Yeah.
to be able to read them or, to see them on something like a YouTube. Of course, there was no YouTube then. To be able to see that and to be able to, see myself in other people's lives. When I was probably in my late teens, and right before I had graduated from college, I was looking for a way to be able to travel. And I could only find one book written by a Black woman about her travels at that time. There was only one book, only one travel book. I think it was called Go Girl or something like that. And it was just a bunch of essays about her travels. And it was so fascinating. It was so deeply fascinating to be able to connect. She had herself on the cover and she had these long, thin locks. And I felt like, like I knew her when I was reading her stories. It just felt really relevant to me. And so I want us to be able to realize that we have stories, and the practice of the journal writing is actually so that we can actually start to get these stories out, and hopefully you'll be more excited about sharing the stories, whether it's a post on social media that you want to share, or maybe you start a YouTube channel or even a book if that's what you want to be able to do. So thank you, Cheryl. Anyone else? Yes, Miss Jamila and her new beautiful haircut.
Oh yes. Good morning, everybody. I just really appreciate everything, every comment that you all have made today, and the topic um, about making ourselves a priority. One of the things that came up for me was how well. Let me back up my story. I made a vision board when I came back from Senegal, and it was, about what I would like to do this year, what I want to get into. And one of the things some of the things that I put on my board was about things for self-care, you
Mhm.
know, getting regular massages, foot care, things that we can do to take care of ourselves. And even this haircut was part of it, because I was just, my hair was a mess and everything. And um haircuts, you know, were expensive for me, being a person on a fixed income, like $30 a pop, and they don't bat their eye.
Mhm.
And then they want to know if you're going to leave a tip. You know what I mean? I feel bad about not leaving a tip and all that. So one of my neighbors told me about a barber and beauty, going to a barber and beauty school, and seniors can get their hair cut for $8. So I was like, wow, So I went, and that's where I'm going to be going, as long as I, choose to keep my hair cut. I was also reflecting on an experience I had in the car, where I was able to go and get acupuncture treatment, a massage, and cupping done for the equivalent of $50,
Mhm.
50 US dollars. And I was like, wow, I could swing that on a regular basis if I were there. But here, just for one of those treatments, most people, and I'm not saying people don't deserve to be paid, but, it's going to cost double that for just one treatment.
Mhm.
So it's like, in this culture, everything is about capitalism. It all trickles down to capitalism. Like, they take these self-care practices, things that we recognize as self-care practices, which in other cultures are like maybe routine. People get them done routinely, 5, 10, $15. We got to save up or wait for somebody to give us a gift certificate on Mother's Day or something to that effect, in order to take advantage of these practices. So um, I'm just thinking of ways how I can incorporate more self care into my lifestyle. I found a community acupuncture. Actually, my son found it for me. Community acupuncture place, which is not even that far from here, and I'll be able to go there for a sliding fee. Um, you know, on a sliding fee scale.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I'm going to start doing that. I made my first appointment, and I'm going to start doing that.
good.
Um, so that's just a start. Talking about the online groups and stuff, you all have encouraged me, because I see Facebook groups, and I've always been like a little, unless I know the person, or, I'm like a little hesitant about that. Like, suppose there's some weirdos in there. People know how to tap into your information, like, um, just a little apprehension. So I'm going to maybe try to open myself up to that, just finding some groups, even though I really prefer, like, my preference is seeing people in real, on face to face. But, you know, that could be, another outlet for me.
Mhm.
And one more thing, like, in regards to how people use, I'll say, kind of use us to get their needs met. That's what everybody's trying to get their needs met. So, like, Kathy said, how she's leaving her job, and she's going to be moving around and not taking it with her, and how people, try to convince her that she should continue to do that, or when you, Halona, were ready to move to Thailand, how people convinced you, were trying to convince you that no, you can stay here and still be happy, and everybody's trying to get their needs met. My big need, well, I got a plethora of people needing me to do certain stuff stories, but one in particular that popped up was I ran an independent uh, African centered daycare center for 18 years. And it was a mess. It was a good thing, but when I reflect back upon it, it was all that good was for other people. Even the money that I made, not that it wasn't a whole bunch of money, but even the money, like I started that business so I could, help my husband at the time, bring in money to the household, blah, 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 blah. And then helping people in the community who needed childcare and all that kind of stuff. I was so tired for all those years. I didn't even realize how tired I was. And in about maybe like 10 years, 10 to 12 years in, I started talking about, wanting to do something else. It was overwhelming and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And everybody was like, no, what are we going to do? You can't stop, So I kept pushing on and pushing on. But when I did stop, it was like I wasn't as strong as I am now, and all the guilt that was heaped upon me, that I absorbed just for taking care of myself. But it was like nobody else saw that. Nobody saw me. They just saw all the benefit that they and the entire community was getting as a result of me working myself like a dog. So, yeah. So everything that everybody said, I can relate to, and I just appreciate you all sharing your stories because I am encouraged. So thank you very much.
Well, good. I'm glad you feel encouraged. And good for you for finding your local resources. One of the things that I used to use, is Groupon still a thing in
I
the state?
think I think so.
Because they would
I
always
mean,
have some sort of a
It
massage,
is.
something.
I was gonna suggest it. I just,
Mhm.
speaking of haircuts, I just use Groupon to go to my local beauty school to get my hair cut up because I need it. It's something about when we cut our hair, we're ready for change and to
Mhm.
shift into another
yeah.
space. So
Mhm.
that's what I use. I also use it for like oil changes and things too when I don't have the money to go to the dealership. They come in handy.
Good idea.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
schools are definitely what do you call that? Trick of the trade. When I was in massage school, the massage school they
Yeah.
would put some stuff on Groupon,
Mhm.
but they usually have deals going because the students need people to practice on. Then I worked at an acupuncture school, and
Mhm.
again, the students need people to practice on.
Right.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's always anytime you can find a school or a place of training, yeah.
Right.
Um,
That's it. My daughter went to
Yeah.
the she's an esthetician and she went to the beauty school that I went to, so that's how I knew about it. You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
We share
Yes.
that in common, Natisha. I'm a massage therapist also. And so I plan on taking that skill that I put away and using it. And Alana actually helped me meditate and remember that I could do that. So, so it all came up through meditation. I was like, what the heck? That's the craziest thing. I knew that I could use it, but I can, I actually have a draft of my pricing for services. So, Jamila, you could go to, as Natisha said, go to a massage school and get a massage for maybe $25, maybe $20.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm gonna
Oh,
find one.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, we have all these things inside of us to help take care of us. You know, I actually had a friend come over to teach me how to do some fiber art stuff that I've been wanting to do. So I can do that when I go away. I'll be writing. Halana has, helped me to realize I could also start a Substack account and write and do all kinds of things. So I don't have I don't have to work for anyone. I don't have to give myself away, and be hired
Mhm.
by anyone, be put on the auction block to do anybody's work.
Absolutely. And also just to be able to offer another resource, and if anywhere where there's an Asian neighborhood, the massages and things tend to be more affordable.
Yes,
You can
that's
get a
right.
massage for $30,
That's right.
and they're excellent.
They are excellent. That's right.
So Koreatown, Chinatown, whatever works.
That's right.
That's
That's
true,
right.
because it's usually not the Western spa situation.
That's
It's
right.
Yeah,
literally
they're
like
not going to be
a
pretty.
bodega. It's like the
Yeah,
bodega, but it's for
Right.
you're not going to get ambiance. So, it'll be clean,
Right.
but don't go in there looking for,
water
essential
sound.
oils and you might get a Buddha in the front, but that's about it.
They will throw you on that table and
Yeah.
you'll be in good shape
Yeah.
afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, let's see. It's 7:54, or it's 54 minutes after the hour where I am. Let me give you the journal questions. The journal questions of the day. And I can put it in the chat for the replay. The first one is, what digital tools are negatively impacting my time and how? What digital tools are negatively impacting my time and how? What digital tools are negatively impacting my time and how? Number two, where in your life are you lacking passion? Or where in my life am I lacking passion? Where in my life am I lacking passion? And then number three, what could you accomplish? What can I accomplish in my life right now with the proper support?
Hmm.
What can I accomplish right now in my life with the proper support?
Hmm.
So those are three, I think pretty good journal questions for us to be able to chew on, at least in my opinion. I try to think of, journal questions that sort of are a good way to be able to think about what it is that we've discussed today. So I don't know, you all tell me if they're good or not, if they're actually helpful, if you actually
Oh
uh,
yeah, these will be impactful for sure, based on
mhm,
what we talked about. The digital tools, because immediately those jumped up.
mhm,
Because you're right, I spend way too much time on social media, but I think it's because I don't feel like I have a local support or people who have things in common with me. So I jump on social media to connect with people who are more like minded, and then I end up going down rabbit holes and end up on social media for hours. um,
Using.
Instead of jumping off and probably taking some of those tools that I learned about when I initially jumped on, I just keep scrolling, and that's not good. But yeah, these are
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
I do the same thing, Kara.
I-
Mhm.
We all do. Even I do. I spent way too much time sitting on social media. And I'm learning to figure out like what times of the day is appropriate for me to be on social media. When is a good time to be able to scroll? This is all stuff we're all trying to still be able to learn. Social media is still a really new tool.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to figure out how to use it, how to be able to use it positively, because I still find a lot of really great things on social media that have actually moved me and my business forward. Miss Carolyn, I see you. We're about to we're about to close out now, but I appreciate you popping in for a second.
Uh, Halona,
Yeah.
if I wanted to share your group, how do I do that?
I also will send you the link to be able to so that they can be on the email list.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just got so distracted this morning with stuff. So I just want to say hi. That's all.
Training.
Good morning.
I can't wait to see the recording though. I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to be at this session.
No problem. You're always here. I appreciate you popping in at the last minute.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for that.
Okay.
But we're going to close out now. We're close to the top of the hour. I wanted to do a very short, since we're talking about being kind to ourselves through self-care practices, I wanted to do a short loving kindness meditation, which is a really nice way for us to be kind to ourselves. We need to be able to learn how to be kind to ourselves, so that we can accept the benefits of the self-care practices. A lot of that's, that we can probably talk about that next week, but feeling like we need to work on feeling like we deserve good things for ourselves. So a loving kindness meditation is one way to be able to do that. So what I like to do is just, and it's very short, it's just to be able to sit in space and quiet, and you take in a few deep breaths. And then I usually end with a few affirmations that I feel like I need in the moment. So we'll do that now. You just sort of sit quietly and you close your eyes. And you can just sort of breathe normally. And you can use your hand to be able to connect with your own heartbeat. And as we connect with our own heartbeat, I want us to walk away today with remembering, may I be at ease today. May I allow myself to feel happiness today. May I be healthy today. And we allow the affirmation to sort of settle on our spirit. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And thank you so much for being here. I will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, Halona. Have a beautiful day. Have a
you.
week, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank
everyone.
you.